Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Justine and I'm going to be telling my story, my 16 and pregnant story, and also get ready with me, so we're going to be doing that. So before I start, I guess I'll give you guys some background. When I was 12 years old, I moved to Texas, and my mom and dad aren't together, and I met my son's dad at the middle school my very first day. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about like the situation with that. I'm just gonna give you guys a rundown. So we met and we became best friends, and I ended up moving back to Colorado that summer, so I did a year there for middle school when I was 12, and then I moved back to where I live now to live with my dad, and we still talked every single day, all day. Anyways, so we were just friends then. When I was about 15, I think we decided that we wanted to be together. And so we dated, and we dated for about a year. And of course I didn't live in the same state as him, so I would just go see him and visit him whenever I could. So like break time, or like mostly the summers when I would go see him, and again, like I had family there, so like it wasn't a huge deal to make time to go there. Well, I wanted to go see him for spring break, and I had the money to go, so all I needed was permission from my dad. And my dad said yeah. So at the time I was on birth control, but about a month before I went over there, so in February, I didn't ever go back to get like a new packet of the birth control, which was the pill that I was on. And I told him that when I was there, and we talked about like, okay, well, what are some other things we can do to be safe? So we did those things. I knew when I was ovulating, and so, you know, of course we were being careful and stuff. When I came home from Texas, I had to come back because I had to go to school, so I was there for a week. I was staying at his house with him. My mom didn't know I was there. I didn't want her to know I was there because I was there to be with him, and she wouldn't let me see him whenever I felt like seeing him, and I paid money to go see him, so I didn't even tell her I was there. So I came back to go to school. I want to say, I remember the date, it was April 5th. Well, I missed my period, and my periods are very regular, so the fact that I missed it was kind of suspicious for me, but I was like, well, I don't think I'm pregnant, but you know, it's better to just check. And so I went to lunch, and after I went to lunch, I went to King Soopers by my old school, and I got a pregnancy test, and it was positive. And I was shocked and scared and crying, and I know people are gonna be like, well, why are you shocked? You weren't even, you know, but I was shocked, okay? I think anybody would be shocked finding out they were pregnant regardless of the situation, especially at 16. So after I found out, I literally like didn't go to any of my classes that day. I just like I went back to school, but I just sat in the hallway, and it sounds worse than it is, but I like only had 3 more classes left. The day after I had to go back to school, obviously it's a school day, and I took another pregnancy test during lunchtime. Well, I took another test just to see, and it was positive, of course. So I was like, okay, well, oh my god, holy shit, what am I gonna do? When I took my pregnancy test, I wasn't by myself. My friend Megan was with me, and she was super supportive, and like she was obviously there for me. Like she stayed with me the whole day that I found out I was pregnant. She didn't go to any of her classes, and she was just a really good support system. Okay, so I called his dad a million times and he wasn't answering because he was at school. I had to text his friend and tell his friend that he needed to call me ASAP because it was super important. And so like 5 minutes later he calls me and I told him I was pregnant and he freaked out. He wasn't very happy. We argued about it the whole day. I was scared too. Like, come on. I was scared too, and I understood that he was like freaking out, and he, you know, has a lot going for him, and I mean, so do I, and I, you know, but I don't know, I was just understanding of that, but I also wasn't appreciative of the fact that he wasn't acknowledging how I felt, because I was the one that was pregnant. Like a week later, I went to Planned Parenthood, and I, to get like an actual test from the doctor's office or whatever, and it was positive, and I went with my good friend Emma. Okay, so when you go to Planned Parenthood to get a pregnancy test, it's $25, and I think you have to pay cash. So I had to wait until I got paid again, and then I went, and then when I walked out of the waiting room, or walked out into the waiting room after I found out I was pregnant, with that test, I remember her looking at me like, why aren't you freaking out? Like, and I think it was just more because, like, I already knew I was pregnant with the other 2 tests, and that doctor's visit was just my confirmation. About a week after that, so I was about 7 weeks at this point, that's when I started getting my pregnancy symptoms. And I'm just gonna talk about the first trimester symptoms I had, and maybe in another video I could talk about like my pregnancy experience. This is more just like me finding out and telling my family story, but maybe in another video I could do my pregnancy journey and include all of the symptoms I had because I wrote them down. My first trimester pregnancy symptoms was obviously cravings. And then I had really bad morning sickness, which is one of the humongous reasons I like wasn't going to school as much. Or if I would go to school, I would go to school freaking throwing up, and my nurse would send me home because I didn't want to tell her I was pregnant. Yeah, morning sickness, cravings, and fatigue. Those were the 3 main ones. The fatigue was really bad. Like, so bad. Like, there were mornings I couldn't move my body because I was so exhausted. My body was adjusting to sharing. So, I was literally, like, obviously you're sharing your body, you know? Like, you're sharing your body with another person, so it's exhausting just existing when you're pregnant. It's just so tiring. Honestly, I'm just gonna put my hair back. Okay, so telling my family. Okay, so the first person... Let me go turn that down. 1 second. Woo! The first person I told was my dad. And honestly, my dad is literally my best friend, like my best friend, okay? And I was so scared to tell him I was pregnant because I didn't want to like disappoint him, you know? And but obviously I had to tell him I was pregnant. So I called up a friend, a really good friend of mine and my dad's. She's my dad's age, and she is like my mom, honestly. My best friends ever in the whole world. And her name is Vanessa. And I told her I was pregnant. And we ended up going to breakfast that day, or the next day. And I told her I needed her to help me tell my dad, or be with me while I told him at least. And she said okay, so we went out to breakfast, and we came back to my house. We went to my room and we talked a little bit about like what we were gonna do or what I was gonna say and when to do it. And honestly, like, I remember I was like, okay, well, let's just do it now and get it over with. My dad was taking a nap. I had to go to work that day in like a few hours. And we went to his room, which is next to mine, and I just started crying, and he was like half awake, and he was like, what's going on? And I just told Vanessa, like, I don't think I could do it, I don't think I could say it. And so she told him for me, and she said that, you know, Tim Justine's pregnant. So he didn't really believe us, but I was always like crying. And then he just said, like, well, you know, if God said yes, that's what he said. At that time, he didn't cry in front of me, you know, about it. But he did go on a walk. And that was that. Okay. So, I'll bring Mason down at the end of my video so y'all could see him. But anyways, so yeah, that happened, and then I went to work that day. I remember freaking having to tell my boss that I was freaking pregnant. She was like, okay, so I was gonna tell my grandma that weekend that I told my dad, or the next weekend or something. Hold on, I got a light on me, fixing it, so there's not, okay, that's better. But I wanted to tell her in person, not over the phone, so I was like, gonna wait, you know. Anyways, she called me one day, and I think I was 10 weeks pregnant by now, something like that, 8 weeks, 9 weeks, something. And I remember, like, when I was getting the phone call, I was like, I have a weird feeling to not answer this, but I mean, it's my grandma. Asked me if I was doing okay, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing fine, like, playing it off. She was like, is there anything you want to talk about? And I was like, no, not really. And she was like, well, you know, if there's anything you want to talk about, you can talk to me. And I was like, yeah, I know. And she was like, can I ask you a question? I was like, yeah. She was like, could you maybe be pregnant? And I wasn't gonna lie, you know. I wanted to tell her in person, but I wasn't about to lie about it. So I was like, I am pregnant. She just took a deep breath in and was like, okay, well, we'll figure it out. I didn't know what they were gonna do. I really thought my grandma was gonna kill me, but she just didn't. I was kind of shocked, to be honest. But they just are so sweet and everything. So I didn't tell my grandpa. I think my grandma did. And she just said that he just was like, well, we're just gonna have to put another plate on the table. So we had to tell my brother. Honestly, I was pretty scared. I thought he was gonna hit me upside the head. So we called him into the living room, or into the kitchen. So we were all sitting there talking about it. And we told him to sit down, and he was like, why? And they were like, your sister has something to tell you. And he said, after we told him, he was like, I knew that's what it was. My brother was so opposed to, like, me going to Texas to see my boyfriend. Like, he was so opposed. Because we're 16, staying in his house with him in his room. But, you know, we're teenagers. Who cares? Like, it's a part of life, you guys. Just be careful. Here's the thing. This is aside from the story. This is a part of life, okay? Now, I think that you should be a little bit older when you do it, but I just think that, you know, just be careful. Like, if you're having sex, let me tell you, if you're having sex with someone, you're risking having a child with them. I don't care what the circumstance is, you could get pregnant. You could have a baby, because that's how they are made. And honestly, that was my thought process when I was pregnant. So, I'm gonna be responsible now. I have to be, you know? So, meanwhile, me and my baby boy's dad were not on the best, I don't know, we were just fighting a lot, honestly. Like, I was about to move over there or figure something out, because we were like, okay, what are we gonna do? And I don't know, I'm not gonna go into too much detail about, like, that situation and where it's at right now, because it's just kind of, I don't really know, honestly. He loves Mason, I know that. He's just, you know, got stuff going on, I guess. I'm gonna move out there soon, like, not soon, but when I finish school. And you know, they'll get to see each other more. We're not together, obviously, but I love him and I respect him, and I just, you know, want the best for him. I want him to be happy and everything, so I respect whatever he's doing with his life, you know. Okay, he was born December 4th, and 8.5 pounds. You guys, listen to me, okay? I'm 5'3", and I weigh 100 pounds. So imagine what it looked like when I was freaking pregnant with the 8.5 pound baby. Like, oh my god. I'll do a labor and delivery story soon, probably really soon actually. But I'm gonna do my eyelashes and my lips, and then I'll be back and I'll bring Mason so you guys can meet him. Okay, so this is Mason. Look, baby. No, look over here. Look. You see yourself? Mason. Yep, this is Mason. He is almost 8 months old. On August 4th, he'll be 8 months. So yeah, that's my little baby. Oh, sweetie pie. Okay. Anyways, thank you for watching my video, and I will be doing a labor and delivery story time. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe, press the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Last thing I wanted to say is that I will be doing more than just like mom videos. I'm definitely gonna be doing a story time on my labor and delivery, probably a Q&A maybe, and like a day in the life, but I'll do other things too, so I don't know yet. But subscribe and like and do all of those things, and I will leave my social media stuff down below. Also, last thing is I of course want to give my really good friend Jaden a shout out because I literally love her so much. I've always wanted to like do this story time and like do my own YouTube channel, but she did it and she inspired me. I'm so proud of her, so I will also link her video of her story time down below and her social medias. So go check her out and her beautiful daughter. And thank you for watching, and we'll be back. Say bye.